Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for this, the third race meeting of the season in the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series. After 2 rounds to begin the season, one in North America and one at Silverstone, we have now returned to the North American continent and we're here at the former site of the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's a track that I'm sure many of the drivers know well, and we're getting set for a few more races tonight. We've got 2 heats and then we've got the main feature race as well to come in the GT4 cars. And joining me in the commentary box for this one alongside me, Adam Bath, as he has been throughout the season and on the cameras as well, it's Alex Simpson. And Alex, we're here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park again. We have a slightly smaller entry list, but this track is set to be a pretty challenging one with all those undulations. It's set to be a good evening's worth of racing, I think.
Hello everybody. Yes, you're right, Adam. It will be. I love Mosport. What a great circuit. It's just one of those ones that you can really enjoy just banging laps out with. Doesn't matter what car you are in, you can have fun with it in like the open wheels and the tin tops, front wheel drives. Every car that I've been here with, I've had a lot of fun. So yeah, I think the guys are gonna enjoy themselves tonight. I think we're going to see some good racing as practice just finishes, qualifying about to start. Like you said, no consolation today. So just obviously missing a few people. Obviously, we think probably because a new release on a bit of software that people may be consuming tonight, which is understandable completely. But yeah, I think we're gonna, like you said, I think we're gonna have 3 really, really good. Sorry, 2 really, really good races. No, it is 3. 2 heats and a bad
There you
day.
go.
When you can't count to 3, it is not a good sign, is it? I'm doing the cameras, you lot should be worried.
At least you're not having to man them. You're just having to select them.
This is true.
Yeah, if you're new, this is the Apex Racing Academy GT4 Super Series, where basically it's basically the setups from the Apex Racing Academy coaches that all of the drivers are using, and it follows a pretty good schedule. It's a 5 race meeting long season. So after tonight's race meeting, we've only got 2 more to go, and when we bring you the points in a moment, we'll give you a better idea of what the situation is like there. But so far, Alex, the first 2 rounds have shown that the Porsche, despite how much like ballast we tried to stick in it, is still, as things stand, the car to beat. Is there any possibility of that changing as we get the points on the screen?
Well, we are hearing that maybe tonight might be the night that we see a BMW take the honours, because yeah, still with the 25 kilos of ballast in the Porsche, but definitely that BMW seems like it might be on par this week, so we'll have to wait and see. It is worth pointing out as well, as Dane is in the chat, as Dane is one of our live stewards tonight. Him and Sam Fitzpatrick will be keeping an eye on all of the action, and yep, so expect to see the odd drive through or things like that. So if drivers do anything crazy out there, they will jump on that as well. But yeah, over to you, Adam, just to talk us through these championship standings that are staring at us.
And it's pretty close, isn't it? With Isaac Shane leading the way, he is here tonight as well, as is Philip Johansson, who's only 5 points behind him. I think Johansson was one of the quickest drivers in the free practice session we had just a moment ago before we came on the air. So watch out for that gap to potentially close up a little bit, or maybe even a change of positions. We'll have to wait and see after the heat races and the feature. Damien Harris is in 3rd, and I believe he is the highest. He is not the highest BMW. That's a Johansson, actually. So even though the Porsches tend to be ruling the roost in terms of picking up the race victories in this series, the BMWs are quite strong in terms of picking up the points in the championship standings. Adrian Campfield's in 4th, and there's Sasha Gourlay in 5th, who started off the season pretty well at Watkins Glen. Maurice Lerner, who after the disappointment of the Glen picked up a victory, a main event victory at Silverstone, is there in 6th. And then Lucas Byron, or Lucas Biron, it's at his home race, the Canadian here in 7th, Marcel Irang in 8th, Jacob Toffs in 9th, and Ben Gregory completing the top 10. And then after that, there's just 6 more drivers on the sheet. That's Nathan Thomas, Lewis Ward, Adam Tompkins, Jackie Lotterman, and Kip Stevens. And then after that, we've got Michael Sturgebauer with 0 points. So that's the lay of the land in terms of the championship standings. And a little run through of the format for tonight. We've got a lone qualifying session going on at the moment, as we also have the AM category. After the qualifying session finishes, we'll have 2 heat races. The cars that finished in the odd positions in quali will be racing in that, and then the cars that started in finished in the even positions in quali will then be racing in heat 2, and then that will help form those 2 heat races will help form the grid for the main event. Matthias Beer leading the way in the AM category, Tobias Berker in 2nd, and then we've got Lucas David in 3rd, Mark Silcock 4th, and Jonas Sager in 5th. Just a couple of points between 1st and 5th. Just doing the maths now, 42 between them, so that's not much at all, and that could all change as well over the course of the evening. Jose Malbrin in 6th, and then joint 7th, Toby Ward and Alvar Gomez. And then 9th, Marco Tolman, and completing the top 10 there, Andy Derrick. And the Pros Championship, Alex, was very close. The AM Championship looks even closer. That's a trend we tend to see in some of the other championships we cover as well. Plenty of prizes up for grabs. And one graphic that we haven't got, it's something that we have to judge as well, is the best livery as well.
I can't wait to sink my teeth in. I'm going to start having a proper look, I think, tonight and seeing who, which car really takes my eye. So, yep, you better be doing what you need to be doing out there. Worth pointing out as well that we have got a top 10 reverse grid for the feature. So points are up for grabs in the heat races, so they tend not to sandbag or anything like that in the heat racing. But yeah, we'll want to come back through from that top 10 as well. One other thing we should mention as well with the points is you are able to get 1 drop week in this 5-race championship as well. So expect to see those points shift towards the latter part of the season when, for example, Moritz's DNF at Watkins will come into play, because obviously maximum points that he can drop there, or minimum points, should we say?
Yeah, if he picks up a 0 anywhere else, then it'll be pretty straightforward to work out what the drop score will be. There is Moritz Lerner, who was very happy when we spoke to him last time out at Silverstone after picking up a victory in the main event. Basically, Alex, things went totally according to plan. He won the first heat, or he did very well in the first heat, I should say, and then that put him at the back end of the top 10 for the feature race. But then the BMWs, a huge herd of them at the front at the start of the feature race, then started to have a bit of contact, and then within a couple of minutes of the start, Moritz Lerner found himself up right at the front straight away, and I'm sure the BMWs in this one will be hoping that they can stop the Williams eSports driver's progress this week if he ends up doing something similar.
Yeah, they kind of just sort of fell out of his way, didn't they? So, not really sure. It was that they made it the most challenging. Just to point out as well, we're just a bit of an error or an issue with trading paints at the moment. So paint should, in theory, kick in. So, but yeah, qualifying I think is gradually coming to a close. Most people have got their laps set in. There's a few stragglers out there. That is Mark Silcock's new livery. I think he was showing it off on the Discord community group earlier on. Does look quite nice as well. He's gone with
grey.
He's gone with the grey. You see, I mean, I went with a subtle little hint in Discord and said, blue or green. Gonna have to get marked down for that one. Sorry, Mark.
There you go. Yeah, trying to appeal to everybody potentially there. Not sure. Not long to go then in the qualifying session. And one thing that is interesting, as you can see from the timing tower, is that There's a very high majority of pro-ams here tonight, and they are in and amongst the pros as well. We've got at least in the top 24 cars that have set times. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pro drivers. So the AM drivers will be sniffing some extra points potentially, and maybe even a podium or a race victory.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's some good points up for grabs tonight.
There we go. Yeah, and at the moment, it is the championship leader Isaac Jane. It is at the top of the qualifying order. It's a lone qualifying session, so you have the track all to yourself to set your laps, and then after that, it's just a waiting game to see where you're going to end up qualifying. The track is not shared with anybody else. You've just got to make sure you get it done on the track. Shades of what F1 used to do for a couple of years back in the early noughties. I think, Alex, everybody has now set their laps. So I think we're just waiting for the session to tick over, which I think it will do in 30 seconds. And then we'll be getting set for what I believe will be another rolling start here at Mosport. And if my memory serves me correctly, is it not a full pace lap around here? I think they usually chuck them out on the back straight for this
I
one.
think on the back straight, yeah, I think you're right. So shouldn't be too bad. We'll rattle through that grid nice and quickly.
Indeed, yep. The session is now at 10 minutes, so we should be advancing any moment now. And then we'll be seeing where these Porsche 718 Cayman GT4s and the BMW M4 as well will be lining up for this one and for the first heat race of the day. Having said that, it looks like everybody is in the same heat. Oh no, I might be wrong. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's because Isaac Shane. Isaac Shane is, of course, on the pole position. I think that's right, Alex. Anyway, there are 25 cars set to race in this heat.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Adam. I think there might be an issue there that everybody's in this heat.
Okay, well, you could call this a qualifying race then. It's a full pace lap as well. This will be the race to set the grid for the feature race, and of course the finishing order will be the top 10 reversed. So whoever finishes in 10th in this heat will be on pole position for the main event. It's going to be a short broadcast, Alex, to say that.
Yeah.
We'll run you through the grid then as they line up. It's Isaac Shane starting on pole position for the what's set to be the one and only heat race. Second on the grid is Lucas Biron. That's my personal favourite livery. It has been since the first race meeting. I don't know whether Alex will be in the same boat on that one. We'll have to agree on something when it comes to it. Jacob Toffs in third, then Philip Johansson fourth. Fifth is Adrian Campfield for Stax Racing. And then sixth, Moritz Lerner. You can see from the blimp shot there in that white and blue Williams eSports car, the winner last time out. Mark Silcock, the Kiwi, in seventh. Eighth for Matthias Speer. Ninth for Mark Herron, the Scotsman. And Dmitry Denisov completing the top 10. 11th, Joshua Jensen. 12th, Damian Harris, who he is not as high as where he is in the championship standings, so he'll be eager to gain some spots early on. 13th on the grid, Tobias Burker. Then we got Marco Tolman, Andy Taylor, and then Toby Ward, Benoit Holzer, Andy Derrick, and then Lucas David, Jensen, Adriansens. Usually we tend to see him a bit higher up the field. Then Jay Steffi, Jose Malbran, Clemens Sibon, and then Paul Clist in the Year 1 racing car. Set to start at the back in 24th place as the formation lap gets underway, and we get to know a bit more about this Canadian Tire Motorsports Park circuit here as we take a look around it from the blimp here.
Yeah, great shot from up in the blimp. I have to say that's iRacing have thrown us a bit of a curveball there. I feel like there should have been no reason why we couldn't have still had a couple of heat races. So, yeah, very unusual. And a bit disappointing really. I still wanted to see the 2 heat races and then go through and do this do the feature as we're expecting. Yeah, just a bit gutted really on that one.
Just having a look at it myself. This does mean that will there be a consolation, because It says on my, at least on the sim, that the top 16 will advance through to the feature, and then there'll be a consolation. Dane might have to clarify. Dane or Sam Fitzpatrick, one of our two stewards, may need to clarify for us on that. But as we head down the back straight, this could be where we see the BMW potentially come to the fore. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, as well as Alex mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, this could be the track where the BMW finally comes good. We got BMW sitting in, well, in P1, in P2, a complete front row lockout for BMW, and then we've got a Porsche in third and a BMW in fourth place. So it's going to definitely feel like the odd one out is Jacob Toft's here when we get the race going, because there are quite a lot of slightly bigger BMWs all around him now as we get set to go racing here.
Yeah, I still think the Porsche might have the edge once the tyres are really gone into a bit of a weird position. So I think, well, I'll leave that comment then, and I'll hand it back to you, Adam. Is there a way?
Green lights are on, and we're racing then for the one and only heat race here in the Apex Racing Academy VRS GT4 Super Series. And a brilliant start from Isaac Shane. He's already established a healthy advantage, at least off the exit of the first corner anyway. It was a bit of a muddled start, it looked like, in terms of getting the 2x2 all sorted. It looks a bit of a mess, but we got the green lights anyway. And we're looking here at Adrian Campfield, who has lost a spot in the early going, trying to get one back as he looks at the inside of one of the Porsches there into the right-hander. And there's Damien Harris, who has had a fantastic start. He's gained 3 places as one of the BMWs very nearly loses it. I think that was Mark Heron, who's lost 3 places very early on. And as they plunge down the hill, Dmitry Denisov there in 10th place right now as it stands right where he started. So a good clean start from everybody. We expected that with the slightly shorter field. And now as we head onto the back straight, it's time to see what these cars have got in terms of straight line speed. It is a BMW 123 now, with Moritz Lerner now the highest Porsche after a slightly poor start from Jacob Toft.
Yeah, not sure quite what happened to Jacob, and he's under a bit of pressure, I think, as well. Here, he's going to have to defend pretty aggressively here to hold on to it. We know how good Campfield is, and Toft has a little blip with his connection there. That will perhaps be a bit of a relief. Because yeah, it always scares, I feel, the drivers behind, and they just back up ever so slightly.
It's a 10-lap race or 15 minutes, whatever comes first. It is a 90-second lap around here. My maths isn't the best to work out which of those will come first, but in the past few race meetings, it has been the 15 minutes that has been elapsed before the 10 laps have, that's for sure. So end of the first lap then, it's Isaac Shane that leads, Lucas Biron in second, then it's Philip Johansson in third, Moritz Lerner in the Porsche in fourth. We'll see what kind of progress he can make. It's, as Alex mentioned, about the Porsche potentially coming into its own as the race progresses. Then after that, it's Jacob Toft, then Adrian Campfield, Matthias Beer, Mark Silcock, Damien Harris, and currently in the reverse grid pole position is Dmitry Denisov in 10th, as Damien Harris continues his ascent up through the field. He was just getting past Matthias Beer in the background of that shot as they come onto the back straight again. So that black and green BMW, who looks like he might be trying to get past Mark Silcock, and indeed has, is flying here, Alex, after that qualifying. Damien Harris is on a march up to the top 6.
Yeah, let's see if I can get a replay of that up on screen as well. Got a good exit out of Sterling's. And yeah, just used the power of the BMW down that back straight there. Gets himself through and past. So yeah, good move. All about the exit really there.
Really was a good exit from Damien Harris. He has got a little bit of work to do to get up to the rear of the next group of cars. Problems for Andy Derrick, who has come into the pits at the end of the previous lap, and well, insult to injury there. Andy Derrick, if he comes back out onto the circuit, he is going to have a drive-through penalty for an unsafe rejoin. Clemens Sibon, I didn't realise that he had also had to get back to the pits. So issues between those two that we didn't see, but the stewards have obviously seen it and awarded a penalty accordingly as we ride on board with the top Porsche in the field. Moritz Lerner up 2 places. He won at Silverstone last week and they'll be hoping to carry that form forward here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But that BMW, it just ever so slightly seems to be edging away along the back straight, and this is where the BMW is going to be at its most powerful, I think, throughout the race.
Yeah,
You
they're
didn't see
gonna.
them hang
I
us
think
straight, did you?
these. No, not really. I mean, it was quick, but I think the Porsches are gonna have to make some moves into the midfield area somewhere to try and get these things done, because they're better on the brakes for sure. So perhaps going into the hairpin, that's probably going to be their best opportunity. Let's stay on board with Moritz here just to see if he closes up through this section. BMW actually looks pretty good, doesn't it, over the hill there. Didn't really lose any time. Ever so slowly are we reeling in Johansson ahead, but not enough. So definitely a track that really favours the BMW where it's strong. This is where the Porsche really comes into its own, these heavier braking zones. You can see how much it closes in on these guys through there. Definitely got the advantage there, and I think at Silverstone they had the advantage in sort of like the slow speed last sector and things like that. But it's going to pose very, very difficult for them to make a move. It's going to have to be a surprise attack, I think, Adam.
Yeah, either that or they're going to have to push the BMWs into making a mistake potentially, or maybe hope that they start fighting one another as they did at Silverstone last week. They were able to benefit from that there. Could they do it the same here? But this is, of course, the heat race, so first of all, you've got to make sure that you're into the feature, and so far that's what they're doing. Over the line we go to start lap 5, just over 5 minutes in the books as well. It's a 90-second lap around here, so I think we might stand a good chance of, or just under a 90-second lap around here. I think we might stand a good chance of maybe getting in the 10 laps before the clock reaches 15 minutes. We'll have to wait and see. As here is Lucas Biron, the Canadian, or Byron. I'm still not too sure on that. He has got Isaac Shane in front of him, the championship leader. Philip Johansson, who is second in the championship, sits in third and is keeping a watching brief on the top two here, as Lucas last time around was fractionally quicker. We're talking hundredths quicker than Isaac in the Alfame Racing BMW, and I wonder if he's now just starting to apply the pressure in terms of trying to get a move done as we go through this crucial right-hander and back onto the back straight again as we look from the rear of the Spaniard's Beamer.
Good solid exit. Was able just to get a little bit of a gap. Not much draft. I was expecting Lucas to close in a little bit more than he has there, but doesn't seem to be.
Through the final corner we go then. Through whites, then onto the front straight. Now through the long right-hander at turn 1. And all of a sudden, yeah, Lucas is under pressure from Philip Johansson here. Turn 2 coming up now, that's Clayton. And then we've got Quebec at turn 3. You can see the different lines that get taken through there. It tends to be hit the first apex, drift out wide, and then cut straight back in to make the second one. This is Quebec here, a bit wide there from Isaac, and this could potentially throw up an opportunity for Lucas to take the lead here.
You've got to go for it right now. Side by side, of course, he's going to be round the outside, but he will have the inside for Moss in the braking. He doesn't need it. Drive straight round the outside and followed him through. Goes Johansson, and Moritz trying to get on in as well. This could be really costly, but I think the power of the BMW is going to save him 3 places lost in 1.
Well, on to the Mario Andretti straight we go, and yeah, that was something that we were alluding to earlier about the BMWs fighting one another, and then Moritz Lerner arriving onto the scene. He did try there, but the straight line speed of the BMW on the exit of Moss was able to help them survive as a 1-2-3 for now, and it's Lucas Byron that leads going into the penultimate corner and the final corner at whites. And onto the front straight we go to start lap 7 of 10, and the Canadian will be loving that, to be leading it at his home track. Really froze it at the first corner. He can afford to do that if he's got a bit of a lead, and it almost threw up an opportunity there for Philip Johansson to get up the inside, but he's loving life at the moment in the lead. and he'll be hoping to keep it. So he'll be hoping to make sure that Johansson and Isaac Shane, who has now drifted back to third, isn't able to mount any sort of attack. It's through this part of the circuit, just before we get onto the back straight as well, as Alex was mentioning, that Moritz Lerner and Jacob Tofts are able to close right up to the back of the BMWs as well. But then that long Mario Andretti straight then really undoes all the hard work they've done in the build-up to that.
Yeah, it looks to me as though they can't get close enough in this area to make a move, and the minute they do, like I say, the BMW strengths just come back in and down that back straight, just pull away. So yeah, they're going to have to capitalize on some kind of opportunity that arises there. They tried, but yeah, no joy. I think, of course, next race we've got a reverse grid race, 10 cars reversed, so that can aid them. They're going to be able to try and get through, but it's whether or not they're going to be able to get by like Campfield and co like that, who are going to be ahead of them. I think it's going to be tricky still, but they might just have the advantage. Johansson having a little look into turn one, ducks back, tucks back in, nothing going there, and Isaac Jean is certainly going to be keen to get back past these guys. Needs to protect that championship lead, of course.
Definitely. Problems for Jensen, Adriansen. He's in the pits. There he is. The Belgian has come into something, and he's now to tow back to the pits. So it's not the end of the world for him. He will be back in the feature race, albeit towards the rear of the field. Here's two Porsches that are going at it. We've seen plenty of BMW scraps at the front of the field, but this is a fight over 9th and 10th. This is over who wants to be on reverse grid pole and who's going to be starting on the front row with them. It's Mark Silcock in the grey and black Porsche that we were talking about earlier, who gets a little bit leery on the exit of Moss there. And behind him in the gold / brown, many shades of that ilk, is Dmitry Denisov in the Wild Animal Bears Porsche GT4, and he's got a very good run after that little slip up by Silcock going onto the back straights here, Alex, but just not able to take advantage of it. And of course that BMW behind, Joshua Jensen, he's got the straight line speed to help, and he's all of a sudden closed onto the back of these two as well.
And I think Denisov there just went a little bit wider than perhaps he wanted to do earlier, just to try and protect his position there, because I think he felt a little bit vulnerable. Oh, it's getting close up the front. I like to try and tune into a few of the battles a bit further back, but when you've got 5 cars, maybe make that 6 as Campfield has joined the party. It's pretty difficult to take your eyes off the front.
Brilliant scrap this between Biron and Johansson. Of course, when it comes down to the championship, it could be one of these positions that helps determine it, especially with only 2 race meetings to go after this one. We're over the halfway point in this season. We started out at Watkins Glen, then we went to Silverstone last week as we lap Paul Clist there, I think. Yeah, that was him in the Year 1 racing car. And then we went to Silverstone last week. We're here at Mosport today. We then go on a 1-week break next week, but then we'll be back after that on the 21st of June, where these guys will be hoping to pick up from where they left off with potentially some decent points in the bag. But first, we've got to get through this race. And when we get to the line, we're going to be starting the final lap. Where's that time gone? As Johansson climbs over the curbs and uses a bit more on the exit as the race leaders take the white flag.
Yeah, first time this season we've seen the laps before the time then. Final lap, everyone knows where they're at. There's always the opportunity or the chance that was going to come up. And Johansson's going to have to make a move this lap if he's going to get it done. I will say, Isaac is not too far behind as well. I don't think the Porsches behind are going to have anything for these guys unless they trip over themselves. That's the key thing.
It's going to be very interesting to see in the main event then, because as things stand, we're set to have Porsches on the front row for this, for the feature race that's about to come up.
Oh, there's a dive!
Little dive, wasn't it? I think
cheeky.
It was just I'm here. But yeah, Moritz Lerner wasn't able to benefit from there. And let's see if Philip Janssen can get the race lead potentially in the final couple of corners. We're on to the Mario Andretti back straight for the final time. We've just got the S's and whites, the final corner to come after that. And then we'll have our race winner from the first heat of the evening. And Lucas, now he defends to the inside line, and now Philip. It will take a brave man to go around the outside, especially in these BMW GT4s.
You've got to have a go, I think. Oh, this is going to end in disaster. All
Oh
three.
my word!
Well, what did I say? we'll get
Moritz
a
Lerner.
replay of that back, but I don't know who it was who was on the grass. It's the
Was
final
that
lap.
Isaac?
You're not going to get a penalty there. There's not enough time for the officials. We will get that back on screen in a moment.
I can't
Oh,
believe that. I genuinely can't believe that. Well, the BMWs self-destruct quite literally here. Isaac Shane, was it he that was the latest on the brakes into this is it? This is it then.
he's just on the grass.
Oh
Just
yeah,
gets it
he's
all
on the
wrong.
grass. And you've got a feel for Lucas there. Wow, and Moritz Lerner almost he very nearly gets collected as well, and then the top four would have all been out. But he is going to be
Campfield.
absolutely delighted with that.
What a good result for Campfield there as well. He managed to avoid it and get past Toffs at the same time. Wow.
I'm speechless. Well, Philip Johansson was able to recover. Was able to damage a damage limitation really for him. He was able to finish third, and then where did the rest of them finish?
Just waiting for the
Isaac Shane
official. Yeah. Oh,
finished
here we go.
10th, and where did poor Lucas finish? He finished in I'm not actually sure. Did he retire in the end? I don't know. He might have hit the tire barrier that hard that he may have done. I'm not sure.
I'm seeing. Yeah.
Can't see the Canadian flag. Oh, there he is. Can't see him on that list. He must have been below Lucas David, and that it must be. So here's the finishing order then from the first heat race. As the warm-up session now takes hold. We'll run you through this quickly. Moritz Lerner wins the first heat, or the only heat. Adrian Campfield in second, highest of the Pro-Ams. Philip Johansson third, Jacob Toffs fourth, Damien Harris completing the top five. So a few more positions gained there for Harris late on. A very good opening heat for him. Matthias Beer in sixth, then Mark Silcock seventh, Dmitry Denisov eighth, then Josh Jensen in ninth, and Isaac Shane completing the top 10. Mark Heron in 11th, 12th for Tobias Burker, and 13th for Jose Malbran. Then Toby Ward, Marco Tolman, Chase Steffi in 16th, then Benoit Holzer in 17th. His teammates, Lucas David in 18th, 19th Andy Taylor, and there's poor Lucas. He finished a lap down as well in the end. I don't think he was able to cross the line. He finished in 20th. 21st for Paul Cliss. We saw him get lapped by the leaders late on. Andy Derrick his car was in the pits, plus he had a drive-through penalty as well, so not the best start to the evening for him. Jensen Adriensens we also saw in the pits. Clemens Sibon was also out after a bit of contact early on, and I don't even think Lewis Ward took the start, but that is what happened in a very exciting opening heat, which resulted in all three, the top three BMWs, they didn't drive, they all drive for different teams, they all drive the same car, colliding with one another in the penultimate corner of the race, and allowing Moritz Lerner with the heavy Porsche GT4 with not very much straight line speed through to take the victory. And Alex, this is the Apex Racing Academy series, and Lucas Jane will be starting at the back of the grid for this one. And the Academy is something that is shot up again in the last few weeks. And what are the main bits of information everybody needs to know about that as we get set for the feature race?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, so obviously Apex Racing Academy returned in partnership with Virtual Racing School. So we've got 25 data packs that we're doing. So bit of rallycross, bit of open wheel, bit of GT, you know, whatever your kind of flavour. You can usually find it over there. So amongst all the normal bits that we are doing in terms of obviously setup building and all the sort of telemetry and data packs that you can get with your video telemetry sort of overlay laps that you're producing, Adam, for the guys to learn from and things like that. We also have community sessions up every week with the guys as well, so that they can come in, practice, talk to the pros, and get some tips and things like that. Great Discord community as well, where all that goes on too. One-on-one coaching, which is provided via the Virtual Racing School website. And if you like a bit of telemetry analysis as well, you can do that. You can actually look at the Apex Racing Academy data packs on VRS. They've been kind enough to host our data packs. They're exclusive to our Academy members, so you won't see them on Virtual Racing School unless you are a member on the Academy. But they are our partner. And what I'll do is I'm just going to quickly hand it over to Dave Williams. He's going to tell you a little bit about Virtual Racing School and how they operate.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Thanks to the guys at VRS for that, and we're getting set now for the main event then. It is the feature race, and here is how the grid is set to line up. And it will not be Isaac Shane on the pole because he has been given a back of the grid penalty for this one after his collision with the top 2 at the end of the heat race. So it means that Josh Jensen will be starting on pole position, sort of. Then it's Dimitri Denisov, Mark Silcock, and then Matthias Beer, Damian Harris, Jacob Toffs, Philip Johansson, Adrian Campfield, and there's Moritz Lerner, the winner of the heat race, a surprise winner of the heat race, completing the top 10. Mark Heron in 11th, 12th for Tobias Burka, and 13th Jose Malbran, then Toby Ward in 14th, Marco Tolman in 15th from California, Jay Steffi there in 16th, the Frenchman Benoit Holzer in 17th, 18th place for Lucas David, then Andy Taylor, and there's Paul Lucas Byron in 20th place, 21st for Paul Kliss, 22nd Andy Derrick, and then Jensen, Adriansen's in 23rd, 24th for Clement Sibon, Lewis Ward is there in 25th, and Isaac Shane is set to start at the back, and I don't think he actually is on the grid. I think he's even in the pit lane, so I don't know if he's been given it.
I think he's done a misstart, so it forces him to go to the back. I think the officials may have given him an end of line, but he could obviously choose just to stay in the pits, and that will kind of do the same thing. We'll see if he comes out to play at all. I hope he does, because it'd be a bit disappointing if he doesn't. You know, you gotta take it on the chin when you make a mistake, I think.
Down the back straight we go then, and after that chaos in the final corner, it is a BMW on pole. But will Josh Jensen be able to use that straight line speed to his advantage in the early going here? Because he has got 2 Porsches right behind him in Dmitry Denisov and Mark Silcock. After that, we've got 2 BMWs, then 1 Porsche, 2 more Beamers in Johansson and Campfield, and then Lerner and Berker both in Porsches completing the top 10. So watch out for the BMWs to potentially be on the move, especially when we get onto the back straight. But for now, we're getting set for 20 laps around the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the feature race. The green lights are on, and we're racing here in Canada. And straight away, the BMW pulling straight ahead there from Josh Jensen.
Oh, he's overshot it. That is wide. Cold tyres coming into play. Well, here we go then. This is the opportunity for Dimitri to get a good race here.
Well, the BMWs, they're handed the straight line speed advantage, but that hasn't helped them too much because I've got a feel there for the pole sitter. Because he just went straight off. Anyway, then it is a Porsche leading, as Alex was saying. Dmitry Denisov leads with Matthias Beer in second. It's then a Porsche in third with Mark Silcock, and now we're heading through Moss Corner and on to the Mario Andretti straight. And now we're going to see whether the BMW straight line speed of Matthias Beer will be able to help him get by Dmitry Denisov when we get to the end of the straight. From what I saw in the first heat, it looks like there's about a 10k difference, 10 kilometers per hour difference between the BMW and the Porsche. And here it comes.
Yeah, got to defend hard, drive it in deep. I think if you're the Porsche, and Denisov does exactly that, give it a couple of laps, it might not be quite so noticeable. They're going to be able to use the advantage of the Porsche in Moss Corner, of course, and that will make a big difference. What's going on a bit further back? Is that Moritz trying to make some move up the inside of Johansson? I think he's got the line through turn 1. That's a great move. And yeah, gets himself up a place and into 5th, up 5 already.
But he got past Johansson in heat 1 when the Swede was sideways coming through the penultimate corner. This time he did it pure on.
Oh, someone in the background
talent.
off. That's Mark,
no, it's
Mark Heron.
Yeah, second corner. That is Clayton off there. And now going through Quebec at turn 3, and yeah, he has lost a few places as a result of that. Has Damien Harris hasn't had the best start to the evening either. He's down to the feature race, I should say. He did very well in the heat. The feature race, he's now down 7 places, down to 12th place. So not the start he would have liked. Back onto the straight, the Mario Andretti straight we go, and Moritz Lerner is already making some more moves, as you can see there. He's now trying to get by Adrian Campfield, and he's almost bump drafting the Beamer down the straight.
It's interesting there. Moritz had the best exit, of course, but he actually really is playing the defensive gig there and actually wants to have a look up the inside of Mark Silcock there. What a great move on the brakes. And Mark is still there. He's got to be careful. Cuts in. Johansson wanted to get past Moritz in that Williams Z Sports car. Now pokes his nose up the inside of Silcock through the final corner. That's some great battling out there.
And the race leads changed as well. It's now the BMW that leads. Matthias Beer at the front is something is going on with the timing tower. Don't know what it is. Lap 4 of 20. Looking here at Toby Ward, who has got Jose Malbran just in front of him in the purple and white car. That's a contender with me for one of the best looking cars out there, I should say. Toby Ward for Free Spires Motorsports. He's got Lucas David for Hypra behind him, and then we've got the Porsche of Jacob Toffs, who looks like he's up the inside. And back we are with 5th versus 4th. Campfield versus Lerner up to Moss Corner now.
Yeah, I'm really a little bit lost as to what's gone on there. Like you say, the timing screen just gone absolutely haywire. I think, is that right?
Benoit Holzer is being shown as... I'm hoping at the end of this lap it will shuffle him down a position. When he crosses the line now, it should move him down a place. There you go.
Whew. Wow, that got me a little worried. I didn't know what was going on there, so I just hid the timing tower. I was like, oh dear, no one needs to know. But right, I think we are sorted.
Nothing to see here. I don't know if the organisers were trying to. I don't know. Maybe Dane knows a bit more than me. On to lap 4 then, fastest lap of the race by. Spin, and it's Silcock in the background. Mark Silcock,
Mark.
the Kiwi who had just been overtaken by his fellow Porsche in Moritz Lerner, has now spun on the exit of the first corner.
Let's have a look, see what happened to Mark there. Coming into the corner, you can see there was a move going on just ahead as we went into the corner. I just lost the back on the way in, and then the little bit of curb on the inside just unloaded the car a little bit more, and yeah, that's all she wrote.
Through Moss Bend we go again, and
But
Matthias B
B-Ron
hasn't
up
been able.
to up and into the top 10, so 7th
Mm.
place. He's got some fans out there tonight, I feel, on the chat. And yeah, Kevin follow him, bit gutted for him in that first one, but yeah, like you say, up 13 places and a great move. And now Johansson once again having a little look at Moritz. Oh, that is close. I think he's got enough of the car alongside, has he?
Well,
He has, but Moritz, I think he's got the inside into the final corner, so he's able to hold on. Oh, this is hard work for the Williams Esports driver. Definitely feels like he's handicapped. Well, I think now he knows what the BMW drivers feel like. So.
oh goodness me, yeah, Hansen going through that first corner. I guess if you could choose a car to lean on, as Moritz Lerner did there, it was the BMW, because that provided a nice cushion for him going through the S's at the back end of the previous lap. But it's going to be a tall order for him to keep him behind, especially if Johansson doesn't make any more mistakes in the remaining 3/4 of the race. We're only on lap 5 out of 20 here in the feature, at a track that has pretty much stayed the same in terms of layout since 1961. Now through Moss Corner, onto the back straight again, and that was a good run on there by Dmitry Denisov. As good as an exit it will be, it's still going to be a tall order for him to get by Matthias Beer. We're riding on board with him. It's 2.5 tenths. It's now 3 tenths, and you can just see the BMW just start to slowly drift away. I think Lerner's trying to get by Johansson again. Looking at the timing screen, so much
Or
going
defend, I think is more to the point, I think. But yeah, still, they maintain as they are. Moritz's problem here is that he can't use the advantage of the Porsche in Moss just because there's another BMW right in front of him. You know, he can't go in deep and build up that sort of 3-4 tenths of a second cushion. So he's having to sort of check up his braking ever so slightly, and that is what is giving Johansson the run. Let's go on board with Johansson, actually, I think, just to see kind of that in effect. And of course, ahead, just as we do that, Campfield having a look on Denisov. Denisov's going to be able to maintain his position around the outside, but it is going to be a case of last of the late breakers into Moss once again. We're going to stay on board and see what's going to happen. As Johansson tries to go around the outside, Moritz says thank you very much up the inside of Denisov. Oh, that is too close. And I think they're both going to get overtaken here.
I was about to say, is it a case of just riding it out for the Porsches, because we know how good they'll get later on, but I think in the end the BMWs are just going to be too powerful here. Here comes Johansson like a train on the outside, like a car in the fast lane, which I'm sure Alex Simpson knows all about, having been in the back seat with him when we've been to Germany, that's for sure. Through goes the Porsche, though. It's not giving up without a fight. It's Denisov, but Johansson. Oh, well, what a save by Denisov there. I thought he was going to take Moritz Lerner out with him then.
Yeah, Moritz got round the outside and through and past. But yeah, Denisov, there was nothing you could do really. That just where they come together at Moss just killed their momentum, and yeah, Philip was able just to steamroll past. So there's a bit of gap started to form up at the front now. So Matthias Beer, he's pulled himself about a second gap over Campfield. Campfield is quick though, so don't rule him out yet. That's for sure. And we'll see what Johansson can do, because he's certainly quick, but he's going to want to shake Moritz, if he's able to close in on Campfield and Beer, then maybe Moritz can do what he did in the last race, just to pick up the pieces if they all jump on that final corner again.
Yeah, this lap's going to be interesting to see in terms of pace what Johansson can do now that he's managed to shake off the likes of Denisov. I've got to say a hearty performance by the Russian in the Wild Animal Bears car to keep them at bay for that long. Don't often see him at the front, and the reverse grid was kind to him there. Here is the Canadian then, Lucas Byron, who was in the lead until that corner, the penultimate corner at the end of the S's on the final lap, and now he's trying to get some places back, and he's continuing his charge up through the field. He's already gained 13 places, and he's going to make that 14 now as he gets up the inside into the first corner. Oh, and he's going to get another. That's Dmitry Denisov doing exactly the same as what happened to Mark Silcock earlier on.
Yeah, literally rinse and repeat. Couldn't have been any similar if they tried, could they? But yeah,
Well,
so up 15 places for him, and he's got, 2.3 seconds now to close down on the Williams Esports driver of Lerner there. Who I have to say is keeping Johansson very, very honest. So, and they are starting to edge back into Campfield as well. And Campfield, he's not really catching Matthias Beer at the front. There is still that 1.1 second gap. So, that's interesting.
That first corner, you'd almost think the BMW was a front-wheel drive car. We've seen cars understeer off there in the Beamer, and then with the Porsches, they've been losing the rear and then spinning off there. It looks like it's the end of the line for poor Dmitry Denisov. I think he's had to tow back to the pits, and having just missed the pits when he had that collision, that's going to be a very long tow indeed.
Oh yeah.
Here is Moritz Lerner then. He is in 4th place. Oh, sideways there was Johansson, I think, going through that final corner. Over the line, new personal best by quite a lot of the drivers in the top 5. Adrian Campfield was fractionally quicker than Matthias Beer on that last lap, only by just under a tenth of a second, talking about 600ths, I'd say. And Philip Johansson was the quickest of the top 3. It's just whether he's going to be able to use that pace as the race goes on. We've got just over half the race still to go to catch the top 2, who are starting to, what looks like, catch up to some lap traffic as Johansson's mirrors continue to be filled with the white and blue Porsche GT4, the Williams Esports car driven by Moritz Lerner here.
Yeah, it gets on the power almost at the same time as the BMW, but look at the gap just start to appear. What you're going to do when that's the case. So, yep, I'm sure they're going to be requesting that the ballast comes out of the car for the next one, but you've got to take it and leave it. I think they've had the advantage in the first 2 races, just got to be there. And right now, Moritz will be happy with this result. I think at a track that we're going to argue that is definitely a BMW track.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially in the heat race to win a track that we've said throughout the broadcast is probably going to suit the BMWs more. That is a remarkable feat. Granted, it was handed to him. I'm sure he'd agree if he does come and join us for an interview afterwards. He'll say the same. Here's Andy Derrick for Bumper Muncher's sim racing team. That's Bumper Muncher's BMW has been doing some munching up the field because he's gained 12 places as Andy Derrick, and he could be about to gain 13 as he tries to close in on the Belgian here. That is Jensen Adriensen's driving for Indy Autosport, and these two have been flying up through the field. The BMWs have been pulling off loads of overtakes with Lucas getting 15 places.
Almost wide again for Jensen there.
The race lead, the gap is less than a second now between Matthias Beer and Campfield.
Yeah, Ekin down. I do quickly want to just check in with Andy Taylor, who is our feature driver of the day. We weren't able to get him on the first one. Oh, do like the livery as well. So
he heard your words of just put some blue on it.
That's it.
Patronus blue. That's for sure. Yeah, I do say I'm a big fan of that as well. Not too difficult to find out where he sought the inspiration for that, I'd probably say. As the race leaders are now on to lap 11. 124.8 for a beer on that last lap. 124.6 for Campfield. 124.3. Once again, Adrian Campfield in third place, the quickest of the top three on the previous lap. And now he's got Adrian Campfield potentially in his way between a race victory, between third place and a race victory here, as he tries to apply the pressure coming out of Quebec and now down through the hill and up towards Moss Corner. Interesting how they don't seem to be hitting that apex there, or
No,
at least
just-
on that lap, Alex. Anyway.
Yeah, just running it in a bit deep, aren't they? I mean, you do open up the exit, of course, which can help, and they're just going to use the grunt of the car. Maybe Johansson going to dive to the outside. He does. Is he going to be able to? Oh, that was a little bit on the grass there. Can be risky. He can poke his nose up the inside. He's got a bit of an overlap. They don't want. Well, Moritz is like, yes, please do it again. So gives him a little nerf. That's that weight of that Porsche there, just barging out the way. The BMW. Let's hope he doesn't give a little bit back. We'll see that Porsche just get shot off into space.
I think Philip Johansson could have done with just the tiniest bit of patience.
I think you're right.
He was the quickest of the top three, and we've seen that move into the penultimate corner often does come with a warning notice. And now he's back down in fourth place, and there's a 1.8 second gap between fourth and the race lead now, as Adrian Campfield can breathe easy for a little bit longer now, as Lucas Byron here in fifth place. He's not too far off the podium. What lap times has he been doing? He was doing a 124.4 on that last lap. That was a great lap.
Yes, very, very quick. And like you say, he really is reeling in everybody. So it's whether or not he's going to be able to get past these guys. It's, I'll use my Murrayism there to sort of say, catching is the one thing, overtaking is going to be another. So I think they're going to start to get into each other just a little bit. So getting a little bit more to the business end of the race now. Still, Matthias Beer slowly stretching his lead. He's confident out there, I think. Although what I will say is Campfield is very good through the final sector compared to Beer. Definitely catches up every single time through there. Oh, Moritz, so good into turn one. Obviously, nothing you can do to actually get through. Short little braking zone into that one.
It just must pain Moritz Lerner so much, knowing that he's so quick through this part of the circuit, and then once he gets onto the back straight, there's not much he can do. Last time around, he was actually the quickest out of the top three. He was half a second quicker than Matthias Beer on that last lap, and that's even with the straight line speed deficit that Porsche has got. Up to Moss Corner we go again, lap 13 of 20 now. Approaching the final quarter of the race, he gets a good exit and can latch on to the back of the BMW, almost push the BMW of Adrian Campfield. But now it just starts to pull away, and 10 kilometers an hour may not seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, especially with the difference between these two cars, it's quite a big difference. As
see the draft just coming into effect about there. It equalises out, but he was so close there, and it took best part of the whole straight just to even out. So is he going to have a cheeky little move? See, I wonder if a little move into the final corner might not be worth a shout. Oh, that is a great exit though. Surely into turn one. Bit of defending from Campfield. Needed to. Is it going to compromise his exit enough for Lerner to get a better run? No, it's not. Just straight up 4 cars now as well in that little group. Biron definitely joined the party.
Matthias Beer just hoping that all of these guys can just carry on that fight, because he's still got a relatively comfortable 1.3 seconds. Look at that curb there, taking a huge amount of, well, you could call it curve. It just looks like a slab of concrete that they run over. going down that hill. Through Moss Corner we go again. On to the back straight again. This must just hurt so much for Moritz Lerner. If he can just stay as close to that bumper as he can, he might be able to spring a surprise, as Alex mentioned, and we saw from the rear view shot on the previous lap. The draft does start to take hold just at the end of the straight, but all that Moritz Lerner can do is just look to the outside and maybe try and spring a surprise going through these final 2 corners, which he has a little look there.
He's got to make sure Campfield's on his toes, so when he does, you know, try and pull whatever move he's going to do, which I think it's going to be... Oh, I can hear the BMW behind as well. So close is Johansson.
And now Philip Johansson's ready to give it another go. But first of all, he's got to get by the Porsche. And Moritz Lerner is doing everything that he needs to do at this part of the circuit. Matthias Beer's gap is starting to come down at the front as well. It was over a second earlier, and now it's on the fringes of being cut to less than a second. Last time around, Adrian Campfield was nearly 0.2 of a second quicker. Moss Corner arrives on the scene again.
God, every time.
Nailing that exit is Moritz Lerner. He's really hitting that apex, and it's no pun intended. And he's now trying to push him down the straight, but now here comes Johansson, and he's going to be picking up quite a lot of slipstream as well.
Yeah, and from attack to defence for Moritz, just places his car quite nicely. I think Johansson will definitely have learnt from what happened earlier on. Right now, he could have been having a look at the win. Yeah, he's still trying to get a podium position. B1 just behind them. Like I said, it's going to be one thing to catch him, and caught them he has. But yeah, it's going to be very, very tricky once again. The BMW, the Hell Racers, BMW getting leaned on by the Williams Esports car.
Well, what I was just trying to work out there was Moritz Lerner was trying to almost prise the door open coming through the final corner, and then he'd be able to try and slide up the inside of Campfield into the first corner. Wasn't able to get that done there. And then Philip Johansson was trying to get it done around the outside of the first corner to try and see if he could get by the Porsche there. Coming into Moss Corner again, we'll see the different lines taken. This time a slightly tighter line there by Adrian Campfield, and even with that different line, different approach, it still not helped him in terms of trying to shake off that little Porsche behind him. And now Lucas Biron is on the scene, and he could be about to get by Philip Johansson here, just like he did earlier on in the first heat.
Yeah, up the inside, he's going to send... No, he's not. He pulls out of it just at the end there. Enough of a draft on the 2 cars ahead to hold on to it for Johansson. Oh, there's that cheeky little look up the inside. It's going to affect his exit a little bit. No, he's okay. B-Ron having a look. Johansson defending up the inside. Again, that will compromise the exit. And of course, the BMW behind has got the power to try and use or take advantage when you've got a compromised exit off of one. Unable to get it done at the moment. 0.8 of a second at the front. This, like you say, this gap is coming down. That is impressive from Campfield with the pressure that he's under to actually try and reel in the leader ever so slightly. Beer just needs to keep doing his thing. He's got 3.5 more laps to go.
Only 2 Porsches inside the top 10. That shows you how much of a BMW circuit this is. Tobias Burker in 8th, the only other Porsche. Moritz Lerner driving the wheels off that thing to just try and keep it in and amongst these guys. And you're right, yeah, the gap's now down to 0.6 of a second. I bet Adrian Campfield will be liking this, because now he can edge away from Moritz Lerner even more, because he's got the slipstream of a big BMW just in front of him. And I think that's starting to happen just a little bit now, because Philip Johansson having a little look at the inside of Moritz Lerner there, coming into the S's.
Yeah, half a second. Oh, it goes under that. This is what I said about Campfield earlier on. Look, 0.2 of a second in that final sector. A bit deep, and that may compromise a little bit on the exit. Moritz to the outside. It's going to be, can he swing one around the outside? I very, very much doubt it. And he might compromise him for Johansson behind.
And B is off. B was off in that first corner. Round the outside goes Campfield.
Oh, this is going to be tasty.
Too wide, too deep. Oh, off. Off goes Campfield. He somehow holds onto the car. That gives a little bit of respite to Matthias Beer. Now Philip Johansson's going to try and go around the outside of absolutely all of them. That doesn't work, and all of a sudden Moritz Lerner may be shuffled back a place. He's got the outside line here for the plunge down the hill. There's not too much grip out there, and that's going to allow Philip Johansson through and up into third place. He's managed to get rid of that Porsche, and now he's right back onto the rear of Adrian Campfield, just as he was earlier on. He tried to get by in the S's, and it didn't work out there, and he lost out on a place to the Porsche. I reckon he might just be a little bit more careful this time, but how careful do you be? Because we've got just 1.5 laps to go. Sorry, 2.5 laps to go. When we get to the line, we'll be starting the penultimate lap here. Matthias B is, well, it was over a second, I think, his lead at one point. It's now down
He's
to
gone in a
virtually
bit
nothing.
deep again as well. Campfield really closes up, like I say, every time through there. So, yep. One mistake now and it could cost you big time. That's the thing. So that pressure mounting for Beer. Let me say, just 2 more laps to go.
Getting deja vu here. Do you reckon Moritz Lerner could win this one as well?
I mean, this is exactly where he was just the last race. So, yeah.
Well, Matthias Beer has pretty much led since the start here. He was able to get by the Porsches in the early going. It was Dmitry Denisov that started off proceedings with a comfortable advantage. Then Matthias Beer was able to get to the front after a little bit of wriggle work. And he's been leading ever since, but is that lead going to come to an end, or will he be taking the victory here? It's been Porsches all the way. They've won the feature race at Watkins Glen. They won the feature race at Silverstone. Riding on board there with Matthias Beer, and
Oh, a
did
little bit of
Campfield touch
contact.
the back of him?
I think so, and there was a bit of contact between Johansson and Campfield as well. Don't think it's going to be enough for Moritz to do anything with, but he might come under a bit of pressure from Biron as well, just because he had his exit compromised. He's going to be cursing in that car. It's like, give me the speed, I need the speed. He has to tuck straight back in. That's another place lost. Not because he's slow at all, just the car down the straight hasn't got the oomph.
I don't know what the ballast is, but he'll be trying to desperate if he could. If
I
he's
was
throwing that lead,
I was about to say, if he could find it, he'd throw it out of the car. It's 25 kilos, so of course it is enough to probably make a bit of a difference. You know, that grunt of the BMW just gets amplified when they're just carrying this extra weight around as well. Final lap then.
yeah, he's got, having worked at a chippy, he's got, well, half of a sack of potatoes sat in the passenger seat. And final lap of the race, Matthias Beer is trying to make sure that he gets to the race lead. If anything, that little punt from Adrian Campfield was able to give him a half a second advantage, but it's getting eaten into now. And I wonder whether the slipstream might just help Campfield when we get onto the straight for the Mario Andretti straight for the final time. We're coming through the Moss corner here, and
Oh,
that
he's
was
wide.
an interesting line.
He's wide. That could be, yeah, that could not be good. And side by side for 4th and 5th as well. But I don't feel like the Porsche's going to win that one. Nope.
Oh, poor Moritz.
Beer holds on to it. Is there going to be a late move from Campfield? What about Johansson? We've seen this situation before. No one trying. Oh, they're all deep again. Don't do it.
Penultimate corner then. Matthias Beer defending as big as he can. Final corner lunge. Is it going to be a do or die move? He tries it. Matthias Beer goes through the final corner. He lights up the rears and he flashes the lights because he is the winner in the feature race here. Brilliant drive from him. Matthias Beer wins. Adrian Campfield second. Philip Johansson in third. Lucas Byron in fourth. And Moritz Lerner completes the top five. The top five separated by less than a second in the end in a breathless finish there.
What a great race, honestly, at the end. You know, fantastic race. Damien Harris comes across. Adrianson as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Great racing. Like, those guys really give it everything. They were so close to sure death a few points in that one, but managed to keep it going. So, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Over the line comes Mark Silcock. Oh my goodness me, this is Jose Melbourne and Lucas David, and it's going to be the Belgian that emerges ahead there after a late bit of contact between the two BMWs. Here comes Andy Taylor with that nice livery on it. He finishes just behind the year one car there, Paul Clist, who gained 5 places in that one. Porsche looking good there. And now here comes Clement Sibon, who I don't think managed to complete many laps after a bit of contact early on in the first heat. But he's going to come across the line and finish in 19th place. There he is. The Benelux driver crosses the line now. And that is it from the 25 that started. And hopefully we'll get to speak to some of those drivers. We have got Adrian Campfield ready to talk to us, so we will speak to him in a moment. But first of all, we have got the finishing order to bring you. And here it is. Matthias Beer wins then by 0.2 of a second. A tenth behind him was Philip Johansson. And fourth was Lucas Byron with Moritz Lerner in fifth. BMW finally get a victory as well. Sixth for Josh Jensen. Seventh for Damien Harris. Eighth, gaining 15 places, Jensen Adriensens for Indy Autosport. Behind him, gaining 13 places as well, Andy Derrick. Tobias Burker completing the top 10, and he was the second highest Porsche. 11th for Mark Herron, 12th for Mark Silcock, despite that spin at the first corner. 13th place for Lucas David, 14th for Jose Melbourne. Then it's Toby Ward in 15th, 16th for Paul Clist. Then Andy Taylor, Marco Tolman in 18th place, 19th for Clement Sibon. We saw the Porsche cross the line late on there. And then 20th for Benoit Holzer. 21st for Jay Steffi. Dimitri Denisov hit the wall on the exit the first corner and I think called it a night from there. Jacob Tofts in 23rd and then Isaac Jane in 24th place. Not taking the start, I don't think, either, after getting sent to the back for his involvement in the race winning crash at the end of the heat race. And that's how they finished here in round 3 of the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series.
All right, who do we have that we might be able to have a little chat with?
We do have Adrian Campfield, who very nearly won that one.
Yeah, let's get him in for a little interview then.
Let's drag him up. First of all, Adrian, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
Well, that was a very eventful race and one that very nearly resulted in the victory for you. You had Moritz Lerner snapping at your heels as well in the Porsche, even with the ballast as well. So there was plenty for you to keep your eye on. You must be pretty exhausted at the end of that race.
I'm not going to lie, I am sweating a lot. You know, I was trying to catch Matthias, and then I had Philip and Moritz. They were a little bit quicker than me, but I just had to try and keep them behind. And my God, that was some race, I tell you. I don't know how it looked on the stream, but from the cockpit, that was incredible. One of the best sim races I've actually been involved in. That was brilliant.
When you're racing against a Porsche that is so good through the corners, as Moritz Lerner was, and then not as quick on the straights, was that kind of difficult to adjust to?
Well, you know, when he's behind, I'm trying to gauge where he's quicker than me, and it's always in the last corner and in the tight hairpin in the middle of the lap onto the back straight. So I've got to try and, you know, I'm trying to catch the guy in front, but then I've also got to be conscious that I'm making sure that I'm slow in and fast out on those slow corners just to try and stop him, so, you know, getting the run on me. And the last corner, he was very particularly quick. I had to try and slow down on the way in to make sure I get good exit. And yeah, that's kind of the way I was keeping him behind, but. Yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was fun.
There was a moment late on where did you almost give Matthias a bit of a push going onto the back straight, and he was able to gain a little bit of an advantage there.
He missed the last corner. He missed the corner onto the straight. That double right hairpin's incredibly difficult, and he ran wide just a little bit, caught the outside curb. Well, certainly on the last couple of laps he did that. Midway through, yeah, I just went in a touch too quick and caught the back of him, but luckily no harm done on that one.
I guess after 2 race meetings where the Porsche is, even with the weight penalties that the organisers have been trying to give it, has been still the car on top. This time around, the BMW's finally come to the fore here, and it's resulted in a good result for you.
Yeah, it's great to have a P2 in both races in the BMW. I think that's a brilliant result, and obviously, I think BMW won both races. So, yeah, the BMW is certainly good here. Hopefully, the next couple of tracks are the same, because then it will make the championship very interesting. It's very, very close, I think. So, yeah, it should be a good remainder of the season.
You mentioned the heat race. Did you see much of the collision in the final 2 corners on your way to the finish in that heat race?
I saw the guy go over the curb. I wasn't sure who it was, and my spotter in my ear told me to go left. So I was like, I'm in an R in, and then I thought, oh no, I'll go right, and it turned out that right was the correct way. But yeah, it was funny that he said go left, I went right, and right was clear. So yeah, it was good.
Great. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, just to Stacks Racing. This is their first league in iRacing, so I used to race with them in R Factor 2, so coming across to iRacing, they wanted to get involved, and he actually creates the skin. I think the skin looks brilliant, to be honest. So yeah, just a shout out to Stacks and Christian that runs the team. So yeah, shout out to him, credit to the skin, and credit to everyone was racing as well. That was brilliantly close, fair racing. So exactly what we like to see at the front.
Alex, anything for Raging before we let him go?
No, just to congratulate him on the result there, but well, not only to congratulate on the result, but just to congratulate for being part of that race, because it was truly epic to watch and call the action. I loved it. There's people on the chat that were loving it as well. Yeah, squeaky bum situation, a few places there. So awesome job just to keep you cool through it all, I think.
Yeah, it's difficult when you've got cars on you and when you're trying to overtake and catch up as well. So I'm just glad I held on. At one point, I thought I wasn't gonna, but yeah, to hold on to the end and then being with a chance to win at the end was very fun. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Dane and Sam and all the guys that run the league and you guys on the comms. So thank you to everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Great. Well done, Adrian, and yeah, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us today.
No problem. See you guys.
Cheers, mate.
We did it again, mate. Threw you out then for a second.
That's quite all right. Yeah, I'll take it. I think we do have a couple of the officials that might want to come in and have a word. We did obviously cut them off last week and said, nah, we didn't want to talk to them. But I think we should perhaps drag Dane and Sam in, just sort of see what they thought of that one.
Yeah, let's get them in for a quick word. I spoke to Dane the other day when we were doing the Israel League last night. We are joined by the chief stewards of the Apex Racing Academy VRS GT4 Super Series, Dane Baird and Sam Fitzpatrick. Welcome, guys. Dane, and I'll start off with you. It was a pretty quiet night for you, but you did have to dish out a penalty after the 3-car BMW wreck at the end of the heat race.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. We were watching that race. It was a really good racing, and at the end, we were like, "Oh, go on, round the outside." And then third driver pulls out onto the grass, and we're like, "No!" And yeah, that was some really good racing until then. And then yeah, obviously we had to give a penalty for that one because it ended all 3 of their races really. And unfortunately, he stuck himself in the pit lane for the feature race. Comes out of the pits, and there's a spun car right in the pit exit, and he just drove straight into him, completely unsighted by the walls. So that was his race over.
Oh, we missed that. I think we might have spared Isaac's blushes there on that one. Sam, in terms of the penalties that you can dish out, what have you got at your disposal? We've seen obviously tonight a back of the grid penalty for Isaac. We've seen a drive-through penalty as well. What penalties have you and Dane got at your disposal for these drivers?
Yeah, so thanks to the guys at Rikmutech, they've developed some software along with, of course, SDK Gaming as well. And we can dish out pretty much anything we want. So we can do a drive-through penalty because that's been added to iRacing recently, so that's really useful. That's pretty much what we use the majority of the time. But then there's also times when it needs to be a bit more serious, like a 10-second stop go. I think we've even given a 30-second stop go before as well. And of course, in that situation, we can give a penalty in that time. So end of line seemed about right for that penalty. So no, there's plenty that we can do.
Dane, what have you guys found of the season so far? I know the entries have gone down a little bit, but it's definitely been pretty exciting to watch. That last few lap battles between the guys at the front, that was brilliant.
Yeah, Sam and I were both watching that, and we were both absolutely loving the super clean racing between the top 5 drivers there. That was really great. We were keeping an eye on the little crash monitor that we've got going on, but other than that, it was focused purely on that racing for the top 5. Was great to see.
Sam, are you and Dane involved in terms of setting the weight penalties for the Porsches in this?
We're not. We leave that to the people who can drive. So that excludes us immediately. So the guys at Apex Racing or Apex Racing Academy, of course, they have they basically decided that the Porsche was a little bit too fast, so the penalty was given. The Porsche was still faster, I think, for the first 2 rounds, and now the BMW has a bit of an edge around this place. So it's kind of evened itself out, if anything. So I think the 25 kg was about right penalty for the driver. So thanks to the academy guys for that.
Alex, anything for the guys?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. Just yeah, thanks for that. Obviously, didn't see many pop-ups for penalties tonight, so yeah, that can only mean one thing, which was racing's getting a little bit better out there.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best meeting of the season. Particularly that lead battle in race 2 in particular was some of the best racing I've seen for a while. So and generally this season, actually, the racing's been really good, and the drivers as well have been very kind of fond of one another. The amount of positive messages we get of a good fight out on circuit, that's been a thing for the first few rounds. So no, it's been some really good driving this season.
Great to have you guys in the commentary box for a quick interview. Gives people at home a little bit of an idea of what you guys do behind the scenes, and yeah, hopefully we might get to speak to you again in the final 2 rounds of the season as the championship unfolds.
Yeah, see you then.
Dane Baird and Sam Fitzpatrick there, Alex, and I think we might be about time to wrap up. But yeah, what did you make of that tonight? That was brilliant, and finally, at long last, even though in the first heat race of the evening, the BMWs all took each other out, they were there where it mattered most in the feature race, and Matthias Beer will be one very happy driver at the end of this race meeting.
Yeah, he had to soak up a lot of pressure there, and yeah, it was a good solid drive. Didn't really make any mistakes or anything like that. So yeah, deserved the win in the end. And yeah, like you say, the manufacturer will be happy finally to see the BMW on the top of that podium.
There we go. Well, that is just about it then from here today at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Thanks everybody for watching and commenting and putting in your thoughts in the live chat during the broadcast. There was some good chat going on there. If you have enjoyed what you've seen today, make sure to give this video a like and press subscribe to Apex Racing TV. Hit that bell icon as well to make sure you never miss a live stream going forward. We are not going to be back next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks when the series returns for its penultimate race meeting of the season. That will be just after 8 o'clock BST. That is just after 7 o'clock GMT. So make sure you join me and Alex Simpson for that one. Hopefully Andrew Woodhouse will be back for that one as well as we get towards the conclusion of this season. And I wonder who will be coming out on top there as BMW finally gets a win on the board in the main event. So my thanks to Alex. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks in the Apex Racing Academy VRS GT4 Super Series. Bye for now.